We are back once again, of course, on the New England Mountains map here in Early Access, one day until the map releases, and we're starting off with a kill that was entirely unexpected. So much so that, apparently, I did not even have time to remove the starting soon screen as I was getting ready for yesterday's livestream. Fortunately, the audio of getting it is there and we have screenshots, but there's no actual video of the shot itself, which is a little unfortunate. So, with no video of the shot itself, to set this up, basically, 9 minutes prior to the stream starting, a flock of green-winged teal flew over the outpost that I was sitting at, and I happened to spot them and there was a level 3. By pure luck, we made the shot at 117 meters with the 22, took it down, and were able to get our first diamond of the only entirely new species on this map. It is a diamond at 495. Is that max weight? It may well be. 117 meters with the 22. I guess, it's not on Revan Thule, so less worry about trying to make sure we get the diamonds with the shotgun. And I don't even know if whatever's on Early Access here counts, but that's pretty cool. So that was just absurd luck to have that particular flock fly over at that time, and to make the shot with the 22. I mean, since the waterfowl rework, rarely do those shots actually land for us, but I did realize after the fact, even if we were able to keep our progress from the Early Access here, it's not progress we would want to keep. This is from all the way back at the handgun DLC. So anything that we've done recently, really anything that we've done since then, is not going to be saved. So we will have to find another diamond green-winged teal on the live release, and who knows, maybe we'll find out tomorrow that we'll have another one just waiting on our map. But as for today, we are just going to continue to explore. And by the way, feel free to criticize my weapon customization decisions. I just wanted to make everything look different. And because we've used the 243, we do have the 30-30 today, and I didn't really like any of the options, so we went with this. But regardless of how it looked, it did take down a silver gray fox, double lung at 137 meters. And hopefully we can just kind of build on that from here. I do want to try to explore away from the lakes and the fields a bit, because I feel like that's where we've been primarily. And as long as we can get into the places that we haven't been yet, I think we'll be able to do that. And this is something else to look for. Still unsure of where we're going to do our black bear grind, and a mythical is a good sign. Hopefully he'll kind of calm down a little bit and stop standing and sitting. Looks like we got him good with our, I think we'll say, interesting looking 338. I like this camo, but I feel like it's maybe better on a smaller game weapon. I'm not sure why I think that, but I just feel like maybe something a little bit different would work for that. But again, trying to go through the different options and actually get to see them while carrying the weapons around, because it's one thing in the customization screen, they look a little bit different actually out in the light. But again, regardless of looks, it got us our biggest black bear on the New England Mountains map so far. Double lung again at 150, 21.5 score is not too bad. And it'll just be kind of making mental notes of where some of these black bear are. The rivers and creeks definitely looked promising. And, you know, if there's areas like this, and they could drink up here, they could drink at this little lake, that could make it a little bit tougher. But even still, I like to see the amount of males that we've been running into. Now, that is about the last thing I would have expected down here by the creek, but kind of cool. It's the first time we've seen a max estimate Eastern Turkey so far. They seem to be around quite a bit. But very often, we'll hear the warning calls over a hill or around a bend, and they're just gone by the time we get there. So, we do have the diamond from Mississippi. So, it's not like the bobcats where it would be a separate species. We don't have many diamond easterns. I think we may have 2. So I wouldn't mind getting to see more, and anyone with this estimate, at least I think has a chance. Because things got changed a little bit. 4.60 was diamond for turkeys for a long time. It's now 4.63, I think, which is likely to make a lot of the level 2s way less likely to be diamond. That is the red fox with the new model. I want to say that's the dark red. Fur type, it's the only one that's not like super fluffy. The other fur types are way like poofier, I guess. The dark red, for whatever reason, is far shorter coat, but 4.41 from that, far from being a diamond. And then when we come up here, you can see it's a new model, or at least like new textures. It's still fluffier than they used to be, but it's nowhere near as fluffy as the other model, and actually maybe the eyes and the face is the biggest difference. It's probably my favorite fur type, then. Unfortunately, I mentioned the recent diamond foxes on the main game and not wanting to lose those by trying to carry this progress over. That will be what they look like in the trophy lodge with this update, so I'll be excited to check those out when that happens. And speaking of whitetail, I was thinking, it's getting close to whitetail drink time. It may be by now. In fact, it's 8:53, so we're into it by a bit. We gotta go back and find that piebald doe. I completely forgot about it on yesterday's stream, and of course, it had gotten away in, I guess it was Friday's video, so we need to go and try to find that. That looked odd, though. That looked really light. That is an albino. You have to be kidding me. There's no way. I just mentioned wanted to go find a different rare doe. That shows up. Got another heavy turkey, but that albino doe is going to be our focus wherever we got to get it. And, you know, I had mentioned wanting to see the whitetail and get to see what some of the rares look like with these new models. This is now the third one. Now, as long as we can get it, it'll only be the second one that we've actually harvested because the piebald got away. But we'll go back and look for that in just a moment. We may also try to shoot that max weight one. And it is funny, I don't know if I'm crazy, but I feel like the albinos don't look the same. That guy's alert, so we have to go ahead and try to get him before he takes off. And we do have to use the 30-30. And naturally, we are going to shoot the doe first. If she will just kind of present a shot, I'm afraid of hitting that rock. Let's sidestep that a little bit. And then, if we can, we'll get that shot in there. The buck is long gone, so I guess it will only be the doe that we're going to worry about. And we'll just take a look in the harvest screen. To me, weirdly, the albinos don't look different. The other rares do. But I actually kind of think the albinos might be the same as they used to be. And maybe for the sake of comparison, because that one's going to the same place, if we can just drop that with the 338 real quick, or if not drop, get it down fairly quickly, that's going to work perfectly. It's going to fall just about exactly beside it. We should be able to very quickly go between and see what the difference is. We'll see, maybe it's just my perception, but we went into the trophy lodge, and of course we have our Great One multi-mount right inside the door, and you can see the common, the albino, and the piebald, and I just didn't feel like the albino had that big a change, and maybe it does, and perhaps we'll be able to see it better with the does and the buck, but when it was standing there, it still to me didn't look like it was any different. Let's pick up the albino first, just to try to compare. Nah, I do think it's different. I guess maybe it just doesn't stand out as much. It is tough to see. I do think they've got like the new head model, but it certainly does not stand out like the others. Maybe it's the pink eyes, I don't know. Hard to say exactly why it's not as easy to tell, but we will, I suppose, tax that. And then we can just grab our regular common here. And, I mean, you see that straight away. It's very different than they ever were, and very obvious. I really don't know why it isn't as easy to see with the albinos, but I suppose now, got one rare whitetail doe. Let's go try to make it two and find that piebald. So this is our herd. Got a black bear here too running off, and that is our deer. Now, much like in the case of the last attempt at shooting us after taking the diamond out of this herd, using the 30-30, if we were to end up with a flesh hit, we'd still have to track it down and find it, and that was the issue when we hit it with the 243 on the run. It kept on finding bobcats and just any possible way to flee further and further ahead of us, and ultimately we lost the track. So we're going to get into 150, make sure we can get a good clean shot in here, and hopefully this time bring home our piebald doe that was standing there right beside a diamond and would have been much cooler to get basically back to back. But while it's standing there, we can take that shot. Going to take a little longer to go down than if we use something like the 30-06, but gonna bring it down, and this time we've got our piebald doe. And by the way, one thing we definitely have to get used to is making use of the new feature, which allows you to mark a location with your binoculars. We basically saw where that doe went down, and for 5 years of playing Call of the Wild and not being able to, I think it's gonna take some time to get used to being able to do that. But a doe that we should have had on Saturday, lung, liver, stomach, not too bad. All things considered, brought it down about as fast as we could have with that angle. Probably could have got the heart with a perfect shot, but typically, with a weaker caliber, that's not something we are going to go for, but we'll tax that too. Got a double rare with whitetail does today, plus the diamond green wing teal from prior to the stream. Now, I mentioned at the beginning that I wanted to make sure we go to areas that we've not been yet, and this creek that runs really all the way through the middle of the map, we've essentially not even touched, so I want to at least spend some time here in whitetail drink time, and then I think we'll shift to moose drink time and check the rest of it. It's a spot that I think could be really good for grinding, and we're still trying to determine, do we want to grind for either species a great one, moose or black bear that we don't have on this map, or are we going to do it elsewhere? The only way to find out is to keep checking these spots and see what it looks like. So far though, looking pretty decent, got a 218 scoring whitetail buck down, and you know, this has kind of happened with the streams and the videos thus far. We keep on ending up looking at whitetail, bear, and moose a lot, and I think that's just a kind of natural thing, especially on a map that doesn't have all that many new species, but at least we got to see the foxes today, the teal, and we'll see what else we run into. Who knows what's in the center of the map here, and what we may stumble into when we shift the time to around noon. I think we'll go maybe a third of the way, about to here, get any other whitetail we run into, and then we'll shift to moose drink time. I do have to say about this particular creek, it's not as easy to hunt. Maybe it's just this area, but it doesn't look like it. This kind of waviness, it doesn't look that bad on the map, but when you're actually running it, it's a lot of this. You can only see about 80 meters to the next bend, and that's just not far enough to not end up spooking animals. So we'll see how we do with moose. Maybe we're less likely to spook stuff. There was at least one whitetail drink zone that had been cleared out by the time we got to it. Never did see a deer there, but maybe with the moose being bigger, we might be able to see them a little bit better, and it does in spots get better on this area, but I don't know that this is going to be the best grinding spot. Well, go figure. The first moose that we find along here is a level 5. 239 to 293. I actually thought we were going to get the same treatment that we got in Saturday's video. We had one just like this, but it was a level 4. No brow tines again. And then, of course, we had the level 5 troll. Let's see if we can get him turned around, and I guess we'll be using our not so fantastic looking 338. The more I see it in the light, the less I'm certain it is the best choice. But we're going to have to alert him, I think. And probably the best way is going to be to just kind of walk. We're too close to be running around. Got him attentive. We need him to probably go all the way alert. Typically, they won't turn when attentive. And I mean, this is not going to be the longest shot ever, but got his attention there. See if we can slot that shot into the heart. And of course, there's no more dropping moose. Even if you do shoot them directly in the heart, they'll run a bit. And it's a part of the new animations. You get to see it a lot better here too. Their trotting animation is almost like the bison, where they sort of rock back and forth as they trot. I think it does look quite good, but in this case, no trotting needed when it is darn near an insta-kill. And can we get a decent screenshot here? It's not going to be bad. Get this grass that's sticking up through the antlers crushed down. I wish that we could do trophy shots, even if it was kind of like Way the Hunter, and I've mentioned Way the Hunter a good bit with this update. Some of the things, including the harvest screen and being able to back out, remind me of Way the Hunter. If there was just a photo mode and an ability to sit here with our fancy 338, it'd be quite nice. And of course, if this was multiplayer, we could do it, but no option to do that today. So let's see. Very similar rack as mentioned to the level 4. And once again, we are trolled by a level 5 moose. 264, I mean, that's not even close. That is 10 shy of being a diamond. We'll go into the inspect screen even still if I can find my way there. And I'm not even sure like what it is, because I think this rack can make it. One thing I really like, by the way, there's this reset view option. I find myself doing this a lot where I get the animal like at an angle and I can't get it back. Reset allows to pretty easily fix that. And let's take a quick look maybe at the true score then, before we exit. Spread's 115, number of tines is probably a bit low. And I don't know as far as like width and palm length what it typically would be. But I'm assuming the spread being 115 is similar to what a lot of moose racks are. I feel like the frame in general on most of them is quite similar from one moose to the next, but a solid weight of 595. Our second moose though, trolling us on the New England Mountains map. And again, to reference something earlier on in the video, I had said that we won't be keeping this progress. Revan Thule, in early access, we weren't able to keep that progress and had all kinds of diamonds and rares. In this case, I think we have a teal and a whitetail, and a couple of trolls, so maybe it's for the best. Regardless, though, Bull Moose number 2 that quick. Didn't even get the 338 reloaded. We're going to try to slot that shot in there real quick before he turns. I think it ought to be a lung, and it is. I do wonder, like, is it just luck? Maybe it is. But we're finding them clearly easier than we found whitetail. And interestingly enough, right out in here it kind of opens up. So maybe it's only that first kind of third of the creek that we did going from east to west. It might not be that bad. From here on out, we'll have to see. Like, there's still some of these wavy parts, and over in here I think it's going to be rough. I do want to run the entire thing. We'll see if we can do that in the remaining time. But, I mean, if there were any moose out here, we'd see them easily. I'm feeling a little more justified in my initial kind of interpretation of what this creek would look like. You can see we've got a long way without getting any real zones, and I'm not spending too much time trying to pick up tracks and stuff, just again because this stuff isn't going to count at the end of the day. But we've just not spotted many moose. Most times they are fleeing before we can get a shot, and just a extra little jab our way, this moose turns away right before we can shoot it, so we'll have to alert him too. Not going to need to be as careful as we were with the level 5 though. Not that that mattered in the end, that trolled us too. But he is turning our way. We'll try to hard shot him to save on tracking at least. And that right there is going to do. By the way, we found that out on stream. Apparently, if you shoot them really close in the heart and they run into you, because that's like a death animation and they're dead, it actually won't do damage. Like in the past, if you shot an animal that died as it fell into you, it would cause damage. So it is just an interesting little thing, and I'm sure that may cause some weird stuff because it's specifically an animation and not just ragdolling. But we'll have to see what that does down the road. Another hard shot moose though, and we have a little bit further to go before we wrap up. Maybe we can get another bull or two if we're lucky. That's what we've been waiting to see. We got an aggressive moose. I actually don't know exactly what they do, so I'm just gonna let it do its thing for a moment. Okay, well, I guess they just get up to you and go on the attack, but I was curious if they would do something kind of confrontational like wolves and lions do, and it kind of did. It just sort of, when it got within 10 meters, trotted in and sort of kicked us. I'd like to see, and I think it has to be that way, otherwise there has to be separate animations for bulls and cows, but I wouldn't mind seeing the bulls kind of go for, you know, just using their antlers, because we did see on one of VW's live streams with the Great One Moose, the bulls also sort of attack using their feet, but that was kind of neat to finally see it. I just wish I was maybe more prepared, but again, that could be a lot of fun. Future, like, maybe diamond moose or something trying to take it while aggressive, if we could ever find one that doesn't troll anyway. But I actually think on that note, that'll probably be our last kill. We still have a little bit of the aggressive pose here in the harvest screen. Unfortunately, just the cow. I'd love to have a screenshot of that with a bull, so we'll have to try to get it to happen, and I don't know what made it go aggressive. I really don't. We were just kind of running along, and I heard the sound. They have that particular sound they make when aggressive, and realized that one was going to attack us, but we do have to go back to the lodge. We're going to go ahead and place our 2 rare whitetail does from today, and the diamond green wing teal, and we'll see what everything looks like back there. And so, a couple of things here. The first thing, I wanted to show that there is in fact a difference between the Eurasian teal and the green wing teal. I wasn't sure if there would be, but you can see, first of all, in the green by the head, there's sort of like a tannish line that goes in front of the eye on the Eurasian teal. On the green wing teal, the line is above and below that green. You also see kind of a lighter coloration on the chest of the Eurasian teal, and I think it's this line right here, right in front of the wing. That does not exist on the Eurasian teal. I also found quite the bug. I put these here to see them side by side, and you can see they're both the light green fur type. However, our diamond green wing teal, for some reason, has the icon of, I think that's bobcat, maybe lynx. Don't know if that's a thing anywhere else, but appears to be in the lodge. And I wonder, because the icons are here too. Could it be just a one-time thing? No, it stays there. Not really sure why that is. Maybe it'll be fixed for release. we will have to see. But then for our whitetail, I put the piebald and the albino in the same pose. Unfortunately, the height is kind of different here, but I do believe that's sort of that shorter, more slender face on the albino too. It just, for whatever reason, it doesn't show nearly as well as the piebald does, and I can only assume the melanistic does. That's the one rare we did not see from this update, but pretty cool getting to see all that. Glad we finally got that piebald down, plus an albino, plus a diamond teal, plus another troll moose. New England has been quite kind to us, other than with the moose themselves, and maybe that's just, you know, evening out our luck, and maybe we can get a great one moose early on. Still don't know if we're going to grind it on New England or not. A ton of moose there for sure, but they're everywhere, and that can make it tough, but we've got some time to determine that. Probably end of the week, though. Again, the map comes out tomorrow. We have real life hunting season going on here in PA for the rest of the week, and about the time that's over, we'll get on to trying to determine where to grind for our moose. But anyway, that is going to do it for this video. So as always, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.